Hi everyone, welcome to this new moon alignment. This time for the new moon in Cancer that is happening on the 25th of June. I'm recording this video a little bit ahead of time because I'll be traveling on the Sunday when we are supposed to meet. So I just wanted to make sure that you had the reading on time for our every other weekly appointment. So this moon is a new moon happening in Cancer on the 25th of June, as I said, at 10:32 a.m. Universal Time. Check what time is that in your area. It's happening at 4 degrees of Sagittarius. And to remind you and to tell people who are not used to these alignments, remember that all new moons mark beginnings. So it's the time for setting new intentions, starting new projects, so that we can benefit from the pull of the moon that is going from not visible, new, into its full expression into the full moon 2 weeks later. And the cycle wanes again when we reach the full moon, going into the following new moon where we need to let go, etc. But we'll talk about that at the next cycle. So remember to see new intentions. And if you want to start a new project, this is a great time to do so. Check where that moon falls in your chart. That will give you an indication of the area that is most affected by this moon, the area of your life. So check the house, and the house will give you that information. So let's start with what this moon has for us. Let's take a look at the archetype of Cancer, which is where the sun and moon are together at the moment, to understand the one of the keys actually of this new moon. So Cancer is a water sign. It's the body aspect of the Trinity of water: Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces. The mantra of Cancer is I feel. It's self-explanatory, and we'll see how it's going to serve us for this moon. Cancer speaks of nurturing, of love. It speaks of my people, my family. Remember, Cancer represents a crab with a shell that protects the soft and subtle inside of what's within the shell. So it speaks about home, the place where we feel protected, where we feel nurtured, where we feel loved. Cancer is the archetype of the mother as well, of maternal love. So this is all attributes or representations or concepts that are associated with Cancer. It's ruled by the moon, also another archetype related to the mother or to motherhood. I want to talk to you a little bit about the shadow aspect of Cancer also, which can be attachment and conditional love. So with the desire of creating and nurturing space, a place where we feel loved, or for someone to create that space for others to feel loved, we can fall into over-attachment and the inability of functioning outside of that cocoon or outside of that clan or group, or this group can be of any size. We'll talk about that later. But that's one of the shadow sides. So extreme attachment and inability to let go of our environment and of our group, so that we feel safe in the group, but unsafe outside of it. So we lose our ability to be independent. That's very, very important concept for this moon. Cancer speaks also about, because it speaks of family, it can also speak about information that runs in the bloodline, patterns that run in the bloodline that we are confronted with in our lives. And also, so in the same vein, it speaks of memory. It's a sign of memory, definitely. The fourth house is associated with Cancer, and as I said, it speaks of family, home, relationship to the mother, as well as our childhood and our upbringing. So, what are the key pieces of information that we have with this new moon? One of the most important questions that we are being asked here with this moon is, who is my family? And it branches out in other development, but mainly, who is my family? So we have the new moon, this new moon conjunct Jupiter at the very beginning of Cancer. And that intensifies the information from that we already spoke about. So this conjunction was already active in the last moon cycle, in the full moon in Sagittarius. So the fact that it's connecting with a new moon here, it intensifies that connection that we spoke about. So just to remind us all, this invites us to go deeply within to connect with ourselves, with our softest, our most subtle part inside of us. We can look at that as connecting with our family of origin, which is ultimately God, Father, Mother, the divine Father, Mother, that we all come from, right? That we all hold within and that we all embody as an individual, but as if we are being part of a whole. And that is within us. And this conjunction invites us to go there and to make sure that we leave anything that is harmful to this connection, to this family of origin, is left outside of boundaries that we can create for ourselves. What does that mean? Mainly, it means to take responsibility for preserving our connection with that center of ours. So that means to take care of our own temple and not let it be polluted, polluted by thoughts or by the mind or by the the part of us that sometimes forgets that we are divine. So it's bringing us back to that responsibility of ours to create that space and to protect that space, to find it, protect it, and keep it sacred, really. Another way to look at this conjunction is to also to strengthen the connection that we have with whoever we consider family in our day-to-day life, in our material life. So it can be our blood family, of course, but it can also be our chosen family. So it's about being in a space that is nourishing that relationship, nourishing that space, and allow ourselves also to be taken care of. And sometimes we can feel connected more to people outside of our bloodline, of our blood family, and that's perfectly fine. And that's the direction in which we are going anyway. So that's absolutely not incompatible with the underlying, let's say, archetype of this moon. Okay. This conjunction can also feel like we can also feel pressure from whichever group that we feel we belong to, as family. So it can be a group where we feel we are connecting. It can be our blood family. It can be a larger group, our country, whatever. But we can, during this moon, we can feel that there's pressure coming from there, from that group we belong to, pressure to share the same values, same opinions, etc. And that if we are a little bit different, if we are seen as having different opinions, values, etc., to be rejected. So take note of that, and come back to that space within if that ever happens, and to integrate, and also find the way to transcend that. So I really invite you to be discerning and to understand that the moment you enter in opposition, if you find yourself in a family in its more extended sense, where you feel conflict, where you feel you are being pressured, then use your discernment to not allow yourself to enter in opposition and to enter that game of duality, because you'll remain in that polarity. And what we need to understand is if you are faced with a conflict of that nature, it's very important to understand that the family or the group where that conflict is happening, to focus on how it has nurtured you so far, how it has protected you so far, how much love it has given you so far. And from there, rise to the next space that you want to be in, to the next group, to the next way to find your family. Do you understand? So it's very, very important to keep that in mind, to transcend that conditioned loving family before we get access to more unconditionality, which is where we're going anyways. But it's before we can reach the unconditionality, we need to be able to deal with the condition, because that's part of what brought us here, to the point, to this point and to this present moment. The next very interesting information that we have with this moon comes from a yod, which is a geometry that stars can, or planets can organize themselves into, which is like a very narrow triangle. At its base, we have the new moon conjunct Jupiter, sextiling Mars in Virgo, and both are connecting in a pointy triangle to Pluto in Aquarius, that is conjunct Altair. Altair, the fixed star and master star. So we just saw the information that the new moon and Jupiter in Cancer brings about finding our space where we feel loved, nurtured, protected at various levels, including at a very inner level, and let's say also we can call that a very spiritual level, down to the very material and very physical level. So let's look at the other points of that triangle. So Mars in Virgo speaks to us about our efforts to connect with that flame in our inner temple, and our very practical efforts that we can do and that we can really ignite, because Mars has a quality of initiating. So maybe, and most probably, you already have a way to look after this flame within. And if you do, then this is a signal to go to the next level. If you don't, this is a signal to start taking care of that flame and temple within. So Virgo carries the archetype and the attributes of healing, of service to others, that Mars is also igniting during this new moon. We'll see how. Virgo is also about daily habits, so and a strong connection to Earth as well. So Mars is pushing us to awaken all these attributes within us in connection with what this new moon and the connection with Jupiter is bringing. So the idea, what it's suggesting, is to make a daily habit of that care that we bring to our inner temple, and to nurture that through really discipline and constant and regular care. And one of the ways that we have to do that is, for example, the breath. To make it a habit to connect with our breath. You can, for example, decide that 3 times a day, morning, midday, and evening, you take 5 minutes to breathe consciously. You can use the 4-4-4-4. So you breathe in on a count of 4, you hold your breath on a count of 4, you exhale on a count of 4, and you hold your breath again on a count of 4. Or even inhale on 4, hold for 4, exhale on 4, and if it's too hard, you can skip the holding your breath on empty lungs. And just building that habit of creating consciousness of your breath and noticing what it does to you, to your mind, to your emotions, to your body. Just Virgo has that quality of being very regular, organized, practical, doing the things that are necessary to achieve a goal or to serve or to care in a very organized and steady way. And I think it's a wonderful opportunity to take these attributes of Virgo to do that. As I said, Virgo is about service, is about being connected to Earth. You can use that to connect with nature, to ground yourself in nature, connect to a tree, walk barefoot outside in nature, in a park, wherever you can. What else? Yeah, I think all of these are sources of inspiration to care and nurture that flame within. Virgo is also about healing. So by doing that, we're healing our relationship with our higher self, if you want to call it that way, with our divinity, with our connection to source, however you want to call it. So that's the other part of the base that we have, pointing to Pluto. The third point. So Pluto is in Aquarius, you remember that. It's going to be there for a while, and it's still conjunct Altair in the very, very early degrees of Aquarius. Altair is a fixed star. It is considered a master star. And it's the star of the new age of Aquarius, and it's connected to Christ consciousness. And together with Pluto, they are the tip of that triangle, and they indicate the direction or the what we need to achieve by integrating the 2 points that we have at the base of that triangle. Pluto is about transformation, and it speaks about transformation at a large scale. It's a generational planet, so it speaks of transformation as a society, as humanity. So it's talking to us about how do we need to transform to step into the age of Aquarius, which is an age where, it's an age where we are meant to hold our own light so that we can bring our originality, our very specific information that every one of us holds as an embodiment of the divine. Every one of us has something very specific that doesn't exist anywhere else in the universe. So that's a gift and a responsibility as well. And holding that information as part of a network, and working in collaboration, brotherhood in that network. So this is what Pluto and Altair is pointing us to. And to achieve that, this is where the pieces of the puzzle kind of click into each other. This is why those 2 points that we need to integrate are to find the space where we can hold that divinity within. That's the part with the new moon and Jupiter. And the other part is learning how to care. How to care about that flame. You can take the image of the Roman temples, or where I don't know what the name in English, but the Vestals, which are those servants of the divine, were making sure that the flame was always, always, always alive. And there were virgin young women. And that's the service. That's where the attribute of service comes from. So imagine that coming from Mars in Virgo. So igniting that sense of service, that sense of nurturing, entertaining, caring for that flame. All right. So that's the other very important information. And then you can see as we walk with those moons, I think it's been at least 2 or 3 moons that have been pointing us to that space deep within where we hold that divine code or divine information, divine flame. And each time we get new information on how to connect, how to care, how to awaken, until and that will speak more or less to someone. It will speak to us differently, in different order. We all have a point of entry to connect to a certain information until we get all the bits that we need to create a complete and permanent connection, because that's where we want to live from. That's where we want to have the personal will and divine will together, so that we can act in this reality from a place of divinity. That's the ultimate, at least for that part of the alignment. That's the goal. That's the I am, really. That's what it means. What else do we have for this moon? Yes, we have Mercury in Cancer that is opposing Pluto. And that can ask us to awaken a less emotional thinking. Mercury in Cancer can be very emotional, and Mercury being in opposition to Pluto asks us to maybe bring out radical ideas through the revolutionary or the transformational aspect of Pluto, and to bring those ideas that can help us transcend the disempowering sense of belonging, which sometimes can happen. Not all belongings are disempowering, far from it. Far from it. It can be very empowering. But in the negative expression of the archetype of Cancer, it can be disempowering, because we can feel lost and unable to sustain ourselves and to nurture ourselves, or to find a place of nourishment and love and care and protection outside of the clan, outside of our group. So Mercury opposing Pluto can help us awaken that and to help us find that resource within us. And one of these resources, obviously, is to remember that we are of divine origin, and there is nothing more empowering than that. That's the ultimate power, right? And that's our ultimate family. We always have that. Of course, we need our family of blood or frequency in our day-to-day life, but ultimately, we have that family that we can always count on, which is the source. We still have Jupiter squaring Neptune and Saturn in Aries. This was already active 2 weeks ago at the last full moon in Sagittarius, and it's still going to be active until the end of July, 28th, something like that. So just to remind us of the information it comes with, we're still giving birth to the dream and materializing it. So it's also an invitation to remember the multidimensionality that we have within, that we come and we hold the information of civilizations before us, and their inheritance, their path is encoded within us. And that can also help us initiate a new reality and a new world. There's something that's very present, and it's been present since the last moon, the Festival of Humanity, full moon in Sagittarius, about remembering our brothers and sisters from other planes. And by other planes, I mean it in a very wide sense. It can be the people of inner Earth, which are also inner here, but the people from outer Earth, so from the galactic space. So there's something that is being more and more present in the information that these moons are bringing. So as if to prepare us to be in a more direct contact with these civilizations, to remember some of them. And this is also a time of remembering. There's a lot of remembering that is happening. I would say it would have been opened up at the last moon, in the full moon of Sagittarius. That door would have kind of opened up in a wider way, allowing more and more people to remember many things, abilities, gifts, places, past lives. In fact, information that we carry with us and that we have forgotten. So each of us will have a different way to remember. And you can use the help of crystals to help you remember. I think this is a very good time to, if you haven't already, to get the help of the mineral world to do that. I think it can be very, very helpful. One last thing before we wrap up. I want to talk to you about the fixed star that is conjunct to the degree to this new moon. This fixed star is called Tijat Prior, and it's a star that's helping us find or hear our inner voice. This fixed star is at 3 degrees 26 of Cancer, so it's literally like a few minutes away from the exact new moon. And it's the first fixed star in the energy of Cancer, the energy of memory. Her light her light of Tijat prior helps us find the path of evolution and helps us develop our intuition. And in this sense, it's guiding us from the unconscious. It is also guiding us from a more conscious place and acting like a herding dog, guiding us, bringing us back to our center, bringing us back towards our inner voice, to avoid that we get lost in the meanders of the mind, of the ideas, of what some call the ego, which would be the smaller self, the more limited self, rather. I think it's a better way to phrase it. And this star is helping us come back to that inner voice, come back to that inner temple that I was speaking about. And by doing that, we develop faster our capacities to connect with the subtle world. So I love the information and the help that this fixed star is bringing. It's very caring. It's very soft and very I don't know how to phrase it. It's just like someone gently guiding you towards where you need to go. And I think it's beautiful in that way. So these are the key things about this moon. Just to wrap it up, I want to recap the deep teachings of Cancer that are laid out here through the different aspects that planets are forming with each other. One of the deep teachings is to go back to our most delicate and subtle part. That's our divinity. And to protect it by creating the calm and stillness within and around us. Taking the responsibility for creating that environment for ourselves. Not only creating that space of calmness, but also surrounding ourselves with the right people. This is very important, and it's getting more and more important. There's a lot happening in the world right now, and a lot of noise and a lot of conflict and a lot of polarities that can very, very, very easily take us away from that space of stillness. And once we're away from there, we can't create from a place of harmony and balance. And we can't create a new humanity, a new world from that space. We really need to come back to that place of stillness. And we are the ones who can make the space for that inner light, for that divine part, for that inner temple, whatever you want to call it, to whisper to our ears what we need to hear in order to advance, to be on our path, to create that new world together. Pluto in Aquarius. And third important thing, deep teaching of Cancer, is to learn how to nurture that environment that we create. And that's daily, that's being of service, that dedication, that's devotion. That's what Virgo is teaching us. And by Mars being in Virgo and connecting to this new moon. And one last thing is also another important teaching from Cancer is recognizing our roots and going to the depth of that. And we might touch darker aspects of our roots. And it's very important that we accept them and take the time to integrate them. That's where we are coming from. There is no way we're going to go anywhere if we don't accept where we're coming from. All of it, including the ugly, including the dirty. And our job, in order to evolve, is to take that and learn to love it and learn to accept it and understand. Really, this is where mind can be very helpful. Mercury can be very, very helpful to make sense of that and help us integrate why it has been a good thing for us to experience what we have experienced, either us personally or our family or the patterns or the things that we need to heal before we can find our new family, or just heal the family we have and stay with it. To each, you know, its own way and its own path, but for sure the anchoring ourselves in the roots that we are coming from is super, super important, because this is what will sustain our presence in the world and will ultimately sustain the flow of life that we are meant to sustain all together as a network in a fully accomplished Aquarian civilization or age. That's it for the information. I hope it made sense. Before we move on to the meditation, let's ask the people of Inner Earth if they have a message to help with this moon. Let's see. Okay. The message comes from the ancient Incas, and this is the message they have for us today. It's called the magnetic forces. We chose a stone circle. Okay, let's see. All right. We, the people of the Alliance of Stars, have developed sciences that your current civilization cannot imagine yet. The megalithic stones that you can, of which you can see the remains today. Okay, let me read the entire sentence so that I can translate it properly. Okay. The megalithic stones that you can see the remnants of today in our ancient civilized sites allowed us to connect to the magnetism of the moon. The initiate could therefore perceive things that were not revealed of his present, such as certain aspects of his future. Let me repeat that. The initiate could then perceive things not yet revealed of his present, such as certain aspects of the future. We come today to speak to you about the magnetical forces of the moon that you should not fear, but with which you can harmonize yourself to build a prosperous future. Focus on receiving the information by opening an inner space to adapt to things instead of projecting negative scenarios that paralyze your deep feelings. The essential key is find an inner path to receive the inspirations and stay away from your own negative projections. Beautiful. This is definitely echoing the not only the message of this moon, but also the energy brought by the fixed star, right? To that prior. Thank you, ancient Incas, for this message. All right. Let's go to the meditation. Make yourself comfortable. Once again, I think we're going to do this meditation without music. Sit down with your spine straight. And maybe take a moment to connect with your body, stretching, yawning. And massaging your entire body from head to toe, from toe to head. Being very conscious of every touch. And really creating a loving and deep connection with your body. Opening a dialogue maybe with your hands and informing it that we are about to begin a meditation. And that during that time, with eyes closed, we'll be safe. And we're preparing our body also to receive information. And when you're ready, come back to stillness. And check your posture. Make sure your spine is vertical. And align your neck with your spine. And your head on top. Imagining a thread. Gently pulling your head towards the sky just to make sure you're completely vertical. The chin is parallel to the ground. And take a few deep breaths, inhaling through the nose, exhaling through the mouth. And with each exhale, allow any tension to vanish, any physical tension, any emotions, any thought, allow that to go away with your exhale. Inhale through the nose. And maybe hold your breath for a second or two. Exhale. And one last time. Inhale deeply through the nose. And hold. And see if you can experience, just for a split second, stillness in holding your breath. Before exhaling through the mouth. And come back to normal breathing. Inhale and exhale through the nose. Allowing your natural breath to settle. Relax your shoulders, your arms. Relax your lower belly. Relax the muscle of your face. And clench your jaws. And simply observe your breath. Focusing on the air that comes in, the air that goes out. Simply observing. Noticing the details about your breath, the rhythm, the amplitude. Maybe trying to follow the trajectory of air that comes in into the nostrils, then going down into the lungs, expanding the lungs, the air going into the blood, and going to each organ, muscle, tissue, down to every cell, and from there delivering oxygen, but not just oxygen, delivering life force into every cell, and from there, from every cell, taking carbon dioxide and everything that needs to be released, every experience, coming back through the blood, going up into the heart, to be delivered to the lungs and exhaled once again through our breath, and given back to the air, and given back to life principle that is everywhere around us. I take a moment to allow that process to sink in. Perhaps to go through that cycle once again. Acknowledging the nourishment that I get through my breath. And the release that I also get through my breath. Connecting me to the flow of life that is present everywhere around me, physically nourishing me through oxygen, but etherically nourishing me through its presence. And I place now my attention in the very last vertebra in my tailbone, at the very bottom of my spine. And as my attention focuses on that spot, I allow myself to feel the support of earth under me. Whether I'm sitting on the floor or sitting on a chair, I feel the support of earth. And while maintaining my spine vertical and my breath active, I surrender to gravity. I let my shoulders fall. Maybe I relax a little bit more my arms, the sides of my back, my legs and hips. Letting go of any tension, letting go of the weight of my body to be supported and held by earth. And I allow myself to be fully held, fully supported, fully sustained. And coming back to the base of my spine, I visualize, imagine or feel a soft white glow around my tailbone. With my focus, I see a glow that is alive, that is slightly thickening as I'm placing my attention on it. Still very subtle, but very present. I feel its warmth, very soft warmth, and its pearlescent white glow, expanding ever so slightly, just a little bit, just enough to surround my entire tailbone, and just enough to feel like an inextinguishable source of that glow. And I guide that glow along my spine to the next vertebra. feeling how that light is purifying, clearing, nurturing, making space. Like a breeze of fresh air, clearing my spine. And I keep going up, very slowly, very gently, vertebra by vertebra. I guide that light through my sacral vertebrae, one by one. And as I move on, my spine is illuminated step by step. Until I reach the lumbars. And I keep going up, illuminating my spine very gently, methodically, taking note if any information is awakened, taking note of any new sensation, until I reach the thoracic vertebrae. I'm in the area of my upper back, in the region of my lungs, of my heart. And I allow that light with its soft glow to keep going up, very gently, very softly. Until it reaches my neck, going now through the cervical vertebrae. Until it reaches the atlas, the first vertebra that supports my head, the seat of consciousness. And I allow that light to cross the atlas vertebra. And it expands into particles, only to meet a golden light that glows at the center of my head. And as the two lights meet and swirl around each other, they expand together through my crown, expanding around me into a torus that moves in spirals around me, coming back again from below and going up my spine in an infinite and constant movement. I feel the space it creates around me and within. I feel the clarity it brings, the freshness, the openness to the possibilities for me. I feel the spaciousness that it has created, as if walls have been pushed. I take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. And I anchor myself into that space within. This is where, from stillness and harmony, I walk my path, guided by the divine presence within. And as I walk my own path, I honor my own existence and accomplish my part in the collective path of evolution. I am the dreamer that anchors the dream into existence through stillness and the recognition of the flow of life. And I become aware that my vibration is a song line in the song of my divine family. I feel, I know, I am. And I activate with my voice. I take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. Slowly coming back here and now. Connecting once again with my physical body. And when I'm ready, I can open my eyes. Thank you once again for being here for this new moon alignment. I wish you a beautiful new moon, and I will see you in 2 weeks. Thank you. Bye-bye.